Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at a question on organic compounds. The letters A to H in the table below represent organic compounds. Question 2.1. Write down the letter that represents each of the following. 2.1.1. An alcohol. So, if we look at our, eight different compounds, we know that an alcohol must have an OH group. And as you can see, some of them just have the condensed formula. But if you draw them out, you should be able to see that D would then be the alcohol. Question 2.1.2. A compound with a formal group. So a formal group is usually present in aldehydes. And if we look at all our structures, we can see that A is an aldehyde. Therefore, A is a compound with a formal group. Question 2.1.3. An unsaturated compound. So unsaturated compounds are compounds that have two or more double bonds or triple bonds between carbon atoms. And if we look at the compounds given, we can see that compound E has a triple bond between these C atoms. Therefore, the unsaturated compound is E. Question 2.2. Write down the IUPAC name of compound B. So compound B is this compound over here. And if we find the longest continuous carbon chain, which would be this chain over here, we can see that we have 6 carbon atoms. Therefore, this is hexane, as we all only have single bonds. On the hexane, we have 2 methyl groups. Here's one and here's the other. We also have 2 bromine atoms. And in order to have the lowest numbering, we would start the first carbon over here. Our name would then be 3,3-dibromo 4,4-dimethylhexane. Question 2.2.2. The name of the IUPAC name of E. So as we have said, E has a triple bond between the carbon atoms. We can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon atoms on the main chain. And since it has a triple bond, it is pentene. We then also have 2 methyl groups, which are indicated here. And we always start counting from the side closest to the double bond. Therefore, it would be this side over here, as the double bond is between the second and the third carbon atoms. We would then have our 2 methyl groups on the 4th carbon. So our name would be 4,4-dimethylpent-2E. Question 2.3. 2 different compounds in the table above are functional isomers. Define the term functional isomers. So a functional isomer is compounds that have the same molecular formula but have different functional groups and therefore belong to different homologous series. Question 2.3.2. Write down the letters that represent these functional isomers. So if we look at all the organic compounds that we have, we can see that A is an aldehyde, as we have the double bonded O on the first carbon. From the name, we can see that B is a ketone. And ketones and aldehydes have essentially 2 different functional groups, but it is just in a different position. So aldehydes have it either on the first or the last carbon, whereas ketones can have it anywhere in the middle carbons, just not the first one or the last one. Therefore, our 2 functional isomers would be C and A. Question 2.4. Compound F is formed when carboxylic acid reacts with another organic compound X in the presence of a catalyst. Write down the name or formula of the catalyst. So compound F, as we can see here, if we look at the condensed formula, we can determine that this is an ester. And an ester is formed when a carboxylic acid reacts with an alcohol. And the catalyst needed for this process, which is known as esterification, is H2SO4. And as I've just mentioned, this type of reaction is esterification. Question 2.4.3, the structural formula of compound F. So here we have our condensed formula, and we want to determine the structural formula. We can see that we have 2 carbon atoms and then the 2 oxygen atoms, and then another 3 carbon atoms. So our structural formula will look something like this. Question 2.4.4. The IUPAC name of compound X. So compound X would be the alcohol part of the carboxylic acid. And in this case, it would have 3 carbon atoms and have the OH group on the first carbon atom. Therefore, this compound would be propan-1-ol. And that's all for this video. Thank you.